The alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Let's Up Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices, and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Let's Up Stores on all our social media platforms. Let's Up, craft your own footprints.
What at the church, though?
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Amacha amalungi abatukereddeko ku mpewo zaffe za The Alternative Digital okufaluira bikobirege amannya gange njagala okubaaniriza era okubategeeza nti we are live on Facebook osobola ogendayo notunoonyaako so tusanga ku The Alternative Uganda oba Digital TV wonna wonna oba otusanze pages ebbiri genda mu comment section ogikozese bulungi nnyo kubanga yeyo space yogwe abatasobodde kutuuka wano mu studio. We cannot have you all here in the studios naye ate osobola okwegatta ku discussion ebegenda maaso ng'okozesa comment section oteekamu ekibuuzo kyo endowooza yo suggestion yo ne byonna by'oba oyagala okumanya omugenyi waffe gwe tuba tulinayo mu studios aba asobola ate okubittaanya bulungi nnyo olunaku lwakubiri ennaku z'omwezi ziri 3 omwezi tuli mu gwa 10 twayingidde October omwaka tuli mu 2023 omwaka tugutambudde tunaatera ate munnange okugukuba olukumu mutwe tuyingire 2024 whatever you set for 2023 and hasn't been achieved tewetta a lot of people haven't achieved ekyo tekifugumya nti ate n'abalala tebafunye naye ng'embeera tebadde ennungi nnyo osobola okugumira ku ekyo nti it isn't your fault alone abantu bangi nnyo abasettinga what I set for 2023 ate ne bibanga bikyagaanya okubanga ate babituukiriza but 2023 has 3 months okubanga ate aggwako you can achieve something in the remaining 3 months so don't give up togwamu maanyi eyongeramu obwongezi bukodyo you can re-strategize you can replan olabanga ate oyina kyewateekateeka ekitali mu kugenda bulungi nnyo osobola okikyusaamuko n'osobola okubanga ate ofuna okuwangula in the remaining 3 months. Ngenda kubanga mpita itako mawulire before ng'omugenyi wange tannegattako already wali wano mu studios ali kumpi nange council Esomu Peter agenda kubanga ate twogera ku nsonga za substance use neteeka lye bayisa wane eno nga bagamba munnange abantu bakkirizibwa kati okulima marijuana ne kati naye okubirima olina okufuna license from the Ministry of Health okukkiriza okubirima kubanga bijja kubanga birimi okukkirizibwa specifically for medicinal purposes teriyo kubirima kubinywa oba okubitunda. How they are going to regulate that nti abantu tebasobola ate kugenda kubigula ne babikozesa oba ne bababusinga, we all do not know. Naye ng'olunaku lw'eggulo gavumenti yavuddeyo ne warninga government at hospitals oba public hospitals okubanga ate bajjako abantu ssente za postmortem. Agamba wanaayo omuntu yafiiridde waka bajja ne bamukima ne bamutwala postmortem ate ne bamala ne bakuggyako ssente. Awo nno baatutegeezezza nti this is a mandatory exercise okulaba nga ate bazuula kiki ekyaviiriddeko death y'omuntu naye nga it is paid for by the government. So gwe omuntu abafiiriddwa omuntu wo tokkirizibwa kukwata ssente noziwa eddwaliro nti naate basabye essente za postmortem. Okwogera bino omukulu Dr. Richard Kabanda yabadde addressinga bannamawulire olunaku olwokutaano wiiki ewedde era olunategeeza nti public mwetaaga okubanga mwekuumira mu kumanya nti mukkirize abantu bamwe abavudde mu bulamu bw'ensi eno babaggyeko postmortem. Kye mutalina kukkiriza izo okukwata essente ne muziwaayo okulaba nga ate abantu bano babakolako postmortem. Yatutegeezeza nti eno exercise eba examininga cause ya death so temuyina kugigaana naye nga it is paid for by the government. So gwe omuntu kinoomu tokkirizibwa kusasula ssente ng'omuntu wo akuvudde ku maaso. Eyo exercise naye yabagambye banayite mugyewala nkulu nnyo erina okukolebwa ku muntu oba afiiridde mu ddwaliro oba yafiiridde waka okumanya ate kozi y'obulwadde obwaviiriddeko omuntu oyo okufa. Naye ekitakkirizibwa mu kyo kwe kulaba nti ate mukwate ssente ate ne muwaayo okubanga bakola ku bantu bamwe abavudde mu bulamu bw'ensi eno nga bakolako postmortem. Ndowooza ate public ndowooza munaweewuka mu kkono obwanga omuntu yali yeebuuza nze atannayagala kukola postmortem, why do you force me okubanga ate nkola postmortem ne munsasuza. Since it is a mandatory exercise now we know, naye ekirungi mu kyo nti ate tokkirizibwa kukwata kikumi kyo okisasulira kubanga gavumenti eba yasasula dda naddala mu public hospitals eba ag'amalwaliro ge tuyita aga gavumenti okugeza nga Mulago. So nno munnange baba batutte omuntu wo side zeeyo tokkirizibwa kusasula yadde ekikumi okulaba nga ate bamukolako postmortem. Ngenda kuvaayo keeyo ngende kwa side z'emukono wali ekasawo bakidnappers abawamba omwana ow'emyaka 5 munnange ate bamala ne bamutta olw'ensonga nti abazadde tebasobola kuraisinga ssente ze baali basabye okulaba nga banunula omwana ono. Bano nno mu kusookera ddala basaba $5,000,000 okulaba nga bata omwana ono. Sorry eddoboozi lyange erinamu obuzibu naye tejagenderawo. Naye after negotiations n'abazadde ne bakkiriza baraisinga 2.6M. Unfortunately munnange we beekubyekubya abazadde ne baweza 1 million era ne bagisindikira bakidnappers bano ne babawa ennaku 3 ne bagamba bwe zinaayitawo nga temunnaweereza balance omwana wammwe togenda kumutta. Era ennaku 3 bwe zaayiseewo bano nga tebannafuna ssente kumalayo balance w'abawambye omwana ne bamutta ne bamuteeka mu pitratrin y'abanaiba okumpi nayo n'abazadde n'amaka g'abazadde abadde bazaala omwana ono. Omwana ono yabadde ava ku ssomero era ng'omwana ono yamanyikiddwako nga Hope Beyinzika wali ku kyalo Namaliiri era ng'ono omwana kigambibwa nti yabadde ava ku ssomero n'atuuka ewaka abazadde be babadde bakyali mu nnimiro era kigambibwa nti omwana ono yayingidde waka n'akyusa uniform nadda mu ngoye ez'ewaka. Awo nno we yadisappearingira abazadde bagezaako okumunoonya munnange nga buteere ne baga after 2 days kidnapper n'akuba essimu naye anayo omwana wofa abamuyina naye twetaga $5,000,000. Unfortunately abazadde nga tebasobola kuziweza ne beekubakuba ne bakolamu ne ka fundraising ne baraisinga 1M yadde ng'essente zino kidnapper yazikwata ate munnange teyabadde nakusaasira najja omwana ow'emyaka 5 gyokka mu bulamu bw'ensi eno n'amala n'amutwala n'amusuula mu pitratrin okuliraana bazadde b'omwana ono we babeera. Ebyo nno byabadde side zeri mu Kasaawo sub county Namaliri village Mukono district. Amawulire si malungi nnyo n'akamu n'akeddagala, so nno bannaaye abazadde tubeere bulindala tulabirire abaana baffe, oba nga bw'oba tosobola kulaba nti omwana wo ali safe ewaka agira asigala ku ssomero paka wonomanya nonokakasa nti nja kubeerawo ewaka awono omwana wo omupiikinge. Naye nga poliisi yamaze dde okukwata abantu 6 basobole okuba nga ate bagiyambako mu kunoonyereza okulaba baani abawambye omwana ono na lwaki bamuse after receiving part of the money ze baali basabye. Nno bye babadde side zeeyo Mukono. Ngenda kuvaayoko ngendeko eri side z'Entebbe. Ono SFC Soli omu naye yasangiddwa ng'atiddwa ekiro ekyakeseza ku Mande. Ekigambibwa nti ate engeri nti insecurity yeyongedde side za ku mwalo gwe Kasenyaawo mu byalo ebyetoolodde, nti insecurity eri waggulu nnyo olwa beef eri wakati w'abantu ba bulijjo ne security personnel abali mu akatundu. Omukulu ono yabadde nga yakakomawo okuva Somalia gy'abadde ali mu kulwanira. Kigambibwa nti abadde tannaweza yadde omwezi ogumu ng'akomyewo okuva Somalia. Area LC1 yate omukulu Robert Mulondo yategezezaako nti waliwo beef oba hatred wakati wa security ne abantu ba bulijjo side zaawe Kasaawo, era nga abantu ba bulijjo bagamba nti bano basusse okubanga security ebatocharinga babasanga ne banyagako ebyabwe oba balumba mu kiro ne bababba, yadde nga tebannamanya kiki ekyaviiriddeko omukulu Sodi ono okufa, naye nga bo bagamba nti beef eno eri wakati wa security ne abantu ba bulijjo wetakolebwako yandiyeyongera ate okulaba nga ate ereeta abantu bangi nnyo okufa side zaawe Kasenyi mu Entebbe district. Naye nga omukulu ono yavudde mu bulamu bw'ensi eno yabadde amanyikiddwako amanya ge nga Kopolo Henry Madrisi, era ng'ono yabadde wa myaka 36 gyokka. Era nga omukulu assistant spokesperson omukulu Lukowesigire yakakasizza incident era n'agamba nti omulambo gwe gwagiddwawo ne gutwalibwa emulago okulaba nga gukolebwako postmortem okuzuula mu butya mu ngeri ki gye yafuddemu. Ngenda vaayo ko tuddeko wane mu Kampala, kibuga Kampala mu makati, nanti batugamba Green City, naye nga zandibanga ebirooto ebyokwakivinga Green City mu kibuga byandifa ettayo olw'ensonga nti ate bo balokozi abakolera mu kibuga Kampala bo besuuliddeyo gwanagamba oba tebafuddeeyo kulaba nti ate bataasiriza zino gazetted areas KCCA ze yateekawo kulaba nti tukulizaamu kale omuti pasipalamu zitulabire nga ddala city yaffe erabika bulungi nnyo, era nga kino bagambye nti ba trespassers bo tebafaayo wonna we basanga balinnyawo beebakawo ne bakolerawo ebintu ebirala byonna, yadde nga KCCA bo esabali basingira ddala okuliteeka ku ba street vendors. Omukyala ono nga ye Deputy Lord Mayor Nyanjula Doreen yavuddeyo n'awakanya ebyogerwa KCCA n'agamba nti yadde nga bo batunuulira nnyo ba street vendors naye baali bafuddeyo ku ba street kids bano abataayaaya mu kibuga Kampala. Duddeiko okubanga banoonyereza abaana bano basulawa era balyaki era bakola ne bagamba nti nga KCCA tennavaayo kuba nti ate eripira nnyo bano abantu ababa bavendinga oba abatembeeyi mu kibuga Kampala basooka okutunuulira abaana bano aba streets oba abasula ku streets okulaba nti ate baachivinga Green City. Naye nga yagambye nti ng'ekyo tekinnakolebwako okufuna Green City mu kibuga Kampala, ebyo ebirooto bikyali wala nnyo tetugenda kubanga ate tubifuna kati. Nga naatera okumaliriza amawulire gange ag'olunaku lwaleero, ngenda omukyala Robin Anabanjo nno nga ye Prime Minister wa Uganda yavuddeyo n'akastigatinga omu ku ba ministers be omu ku deputies beera nga ono amulanga kugenda mu UN General Assembly nga yali talimenti kubeerayo. Omukyalo ono owa Minister for General Duties omukyala Justin Kasule Lumumba naye yabaayo mu betwala baabagenda okubanga bakiikirira Uganda mu UN General Assembly. Yadde nga Prime Minister avudde n'agamba nti Justin yatumibwa okubanga ateekateekera bannayuganda bwe banaatuukira era after yakomawo Uganda. Ensonga kyendala lwaki yamala n'addayo ezo ye Prime Minister yetazimanyiiko era nga kigambibwa nti omukyalo ono yakozesa personal funds era ng'agamba nti ziyina okusasulwa. Yadde nga Prime Minister yategeezezzaako n'agamba nti ye teyamutuma ate ng'emirimu gy'alina okukola girina okuba nga ate agiggyewuwe. So bw'abanga yeetuma n'agenda n'atendinga UN General Assembly ono ye tasaana kuddizibwa ssente. Yakikola nga y'omuntu teyali ku mulimu nti ate Prime Minister yamutumye. Era n'ategeeza bannayuganda nti abamuvunaana nti yatwala abantu 71 okubanga ba delegates ba Uganda mu UN General Assembly. N'agamba nti ebyo bifu ye yagenda n'abantu 7 bokka era nga abantu abalala bonna abantu abalala bonna bemusibako ye yabasangayo era ng'agamba nti bonna omukyala Vice President wa Uganda Jessica Alupobe yatwala ye tabamanyiiko kubanga ate ye si ya delegating Vice President. Emirimu gya Vice President sigijje bw'abanga yatwala abantu ebyo ate biba tebimukwatako naye nga ye Prime Minister wa Uganda yatwala only 7 delegates. Era ono nga yategeezaako nti ate era ye okugenda okubanga atwala ba delegates mu UN General Assembly wali mu New York. President wa Uganda ye yamutuma okulaba nga ate agenda ne ba delegates kulaba nga bakiikirira Uganda. So nno ebintu bingi nnyo bigenda kubanga bivaayo kubanga kigambibwa nti abantu 71 we had 71 delegates from Uganda okubanga bakiikirira Uganda sides eyo mu UN General Assembly. That was way too much okubanga ate Uganda esindika abantu abayitirivu bwe batyo kulaba nti ate bagenda okukiikirira. Kigambibwa nti abantu abasinga tebaatuuka ne Assembly anyway yali kubanga they needed a few number of people, so bali mu masaali nga bali mu kuchakala sides eyo mu New York. So no ebyo byabadde eyo ew'omukyala Robin Nabbanja era n'ategeezaako nti Uganda bonna abali mu kukola amawulire nga mwagala okwonoona erinnya lye agenda kubasuuwinga era nga bwe mbanga mukubako story ezitali ntuufu she's going to sue you for defamation. So no Uganda mwegendereze nnyo stories zemukola ku bantu naddala nga ate toli so sure of the source of the story n'okumanya obanga ate story yo gyewandika ku muntu ntuufu. Omukyala agambye nti mwagala kuwonoona linnya lye, so whoever writes a story about her nga si ntuufu she's going to sue you for defamation. Ndowooza mukitegeere musobole okubanga ate mukola ate bannamawulire mukola emirimu gyammwe mu butuufu bwajjo nga temwekubiridde oba temubadde mukyekubirira era nga tonnakola story osooka oginoonyeeko oba otuukirire n'omuntu gwe gwokolako eggulire okubanga ate onoonya facts for your story ate munnange obuteesanga ng'ate oli mu nkomyo olw'okukola story gy'otamanyiiko mu mutwe n'amagulu. Ngenda kubanga ate nkomya wana amawulire gange olunaku lwaleero bwe nnaakomawo ngenda kubanga negatiddwako omukulu Rogers Tuyahabwe ate n'omugenyi waffe ow'olunaku lwaleero Council Esomu Peter. Nja kubasaba nnyo mubeereko naddala mmwe abavubuka ate munnange ennaku zino substance use eri waggulu nnyo mu Uganda naddala mu bavubuka, so nno gwe beerako akyali soba otegeere buzibu ki obuli mu kukozesa ebiragalalagala bino. Amateeka etteeka lye baayisiza likwatirako wa oba ligasa litya oba lyonoona litya bannayuganda. Very good morning bwe tukomawo ngenda kubanga ate mbawa quote of the day.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, Real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Let's Up Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Let's Up Stores on all our social media platforms. Let's Up, craft your own footprints.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues. Real talk.
I'm still negative dwako council Esomu Peter ne council mulala wali my co-host Rogers tuyahawe twogera ensonga za substance use twogera Teeka lya kati bana yo kati kiki mu Luganda ebyo mujja kubinnyonnyola nange simanyi naye bakiyita kati era bagambye nti amairungi no bagambye amairungi and kati so amairungi
kati it's the English name. Amayirungi obamira.
Ate marijuana chichi.
Marijuana yenjaga.
Tugenda maaso.
Amayirungi geganuke kwagaya and then marijuana kenawa ino. Our quote of the day is no one changes unless they want to. Not even if you beg them. Not if you shame them, not if you reason, emotion, or love them tough. There is only one thing that makes someone change. Their own realization that they need to. So no munange gwa avayo tujja kumuswaza changing tebijja kola. Unless someone realizes there is need to change, toyina kirala kyoyinza kumugambako n'akyuka. So no, abantu just you make them realize nti bali mukola kikyamu ebirala ebyokukyuka mu bibalekere. Very good morning, Rogers.
Good morning, Farida. It's a very great pleasure again to be here. My name is Rogers Ly'Okulima, and we're going to be talking about a number of issues that are related to drug control, narcotics. We have the council. I have no expertise in those things. Farida Okedde okumpa ebitiibwa, but we are here with Councillor Esomu Peter. He's going to be taking us through a lot of those things. I think we had the Narcotics and Psychotropic Substance Control Act in, is it 2016 or 2015?
2023.
No, there's one they nullified.
Oh, 2015.
Yeah, the one they nullified in May.
2015, yeah.
Then we have a new bill now that has been passed
Yes.
by Parliament, which is same as sort of that. So we want to understand the nexus, understand the whole process. What, first of all, were the conditions why they nullified the previous act. So we're going to be looking at all of that, and Council is going to be talking to us about all of those things. So first of all, I'm going to invite him to first say hello to us, and then we'll get into all of these things, get the facts, and then see how to understand this process. Council, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Very good. And feel free to use English, Luganda, Kinyarwanda if you like.
It's okay.
Yeah, anything.
What if I use it? Angari mojo.
Adjusting obuzaako abeeyo kubanga audience tejja bitegeera.
Got it. So good morning, our viewers. As I introduced, I'm Simon Peter Esomu. I'm a public law lawyer. It's nice to have you today as we are going to delve into the issues pertaining the recently passed bill on narcotics and psychotropic substances.
Okay, so it's good to have you. First of all, I want us to understand. Muvada, never redanga, you're trying to understand the cat. Me, I know marijuana, there's opium, there's mania heroin, there's all of those things.
Naye ekirungi akinyonyodde bulungi kat ogambe kati yeki
Kati,
Amayirungi.
Cat is the English name for what we call here in Uganda as amairungi or mira.
Buno obukola bwe bagaaya.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the cat.
That is cat.
Bino betulaba ne alien skin to be specific.
Yes. The alien skin product.
No, for people to know. Akakola.
Yes. Yes. Then marijuana is what you call
enjaga. Bino byetugano ge balima ne now I know.
So that's the difference.
Okay. So where does the rest of these things, mania opium, mate heroin, mania morphine, all of those things, do they fall under those two categories?
Oh, yeah, they fall under those drugs.
So these are the main two?
I can't say that these are the main two because I as one, we are not, I don't agree cat being criminalized or being classified as a
Nawe oliko abo abagamba
as a
nti
substance.
abantu
Yes.
babaleke bali akakoola.
yes.
Why? Tekirina buzibu eri nti you know addiction is bad.
No.
Tekirina buzibu eri muntu kubanga agaaya akakoola ako. Tekayina any effect ku bwongo eri healthy y'omuntu.
Yeah, there is no doubt cat is a stimulant.
And very addictive at that.
No, it's not addictive.
Aren't all of those drugs addictive?
We shall
All
come,
of those
we
substances.
shall come to that. We shall
So
come
I think
to that.
drugs is another extreme substance.
But
shall
it
come
is
to
drugs
that.
anyway.
We shall come to that. Cat is a stimulant. In some parts of the country or of the world, it's used as a beverage.
Beverage.
Yeah, bamunywanga chai.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And here in Uganda, it's grown here in central Uganda, some parts of western Uganda, and West Nile. And it's most of the people in Uganda here, about 1 million plus, thrive on cat as a business, as a source of their livelihood.
Okay.
Source of income.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. But as I told you, cat, I'm one of those who believes that cats shouldn't have been criminalized.
Why?
Its growing, selling, and distribution. You've asked why. You know, there's what we call evidence-based legislation, EBL. The process leading to the passing of the narcotics, of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Bill, Control Bill number 14 of 2023, was devoid of what we call evidence-based legislation, EBL. We are in an era whereby, or in a modern era whereby lawmakers are required to be informed by research.
Yeah.
That is qualitative and quantitative research and all other forms of research. So when it comes to kati, the passing of the bill was passed out of excitement and informed by stereotype and shrouded in emotions. They never took time to learn more about kati as a plant and whether, according to the existing science and evidence, it would warrant criminalization. They failed in that. If they had done that, as I will discuss later, they wouldn't have criminalized kati. Instead, they would have gone for alcohol. Because alcohol is worse than kati.
How was? How was?
Now, the World Health Organization for quite a long time has conducted scientific research that shows that kati is less harmful than alcohol and tobacco.
Omwenge ne sigala.
Omwenge ne sigala. Bwa bulabe nnyo okusinga amairungi. Yes.
Naye omuntu yali ebuuziza lwaki amairungi abaana beeri mu ghetto eri be basinga okuggala ekyo oba yensonga lwaki bo balowooza nti it's very harmful. And bw'osanga abaana bali amairungi, you can really tell they are not in their normal state. Like balinga beeyisanga abaavaako kale katugambe.
It's like this. There's what we call mixed use of drugs. I can use kati. I combine it with marijuana and alcohol. So the effects or the adverse effects sometimes people see are not as a result of kati. As a result of what?
A combination of all of
but
those.
olw'okuba ffe tulaba bano abatambula n'obuveera nga kye tulaba kye tubateekako.
Yes.
One time I was in a restaurant, a man, a responsible man, walked in with a black veil and started chewing grass,
Yes.
chewing cat.
Now, you know why you're even shocked?
I was.
You're shocked because there's a stereotype around kati. And I want to show you something. I want to share something after some time here. It's about let me get the statistics. The extent to which kati affects people in people have been admitted for drug use compared to other substances. Just a minute. Other substances. According to, there's a report that was conducted by Butavika. It's only psychiatric hospital
yes.
we have here in Uganda, national. They said, according a study done at Butavika Hospital in 2022, show that for the year 2021 to 2022, 24.9%, that's 1,750 of young adults, mainly young male, were admitted for alcohol and substance use problems out of 7,035 total admissions. So out of the total admissions of 7,035, 24.9% were admitted for alcohol and substance use problems. Then 44.7% of these of the 7,035, 44.7% of these were on alcohol. 31.4 on cannabis, that is marijuana. 2.1 on stimulants. They didn't even specify. On stimulants, they can be more than one.
It can be cut.
It can be cut. So cut was under that. So cut contributed to the 2.1%. Alcohol contributed 44.7%.
What was Banova lawmakers, they went for cut instead of alcohol?
Now, cut has suffered what we call a stereotype. Like the way you hear people in Uganda saying, Simanya, Aya, the Basoga understand at 45. It's a stereotype. It's not the truth. So, cut has suffered a stereotype and has never gotten backing from government for the people who grow it to realize the economic opportunities that come with it. Cut has existed in Uganda as early as 1950. It's until 2015 that cut is criminalized in Uganda for the first time.
Among other substances?
Yes. Among all the cut as a substance from the 1950s.
Up to 2015.
After 2015 was not it was legal to grow, consume, deal, and sell it. But as I said, it's until 2015 that it's criminalized.
I think abantu betaaga okumanya okujjako akugaya akakola ako kalina emigaso ki emirala.
The new bill that is being passed,
yes,
is said that they are only legalizing a number of those for purposes, specifically for medicinal purposes. So anyone can farm and do that as long as it's medicinal.
No, you have to get a license for
license, yes, licensed farming. So again, in line with that one, what are the medicinal purposes of these things? Or what are the impacts it generally uses?
About cut now, let me share with you something about the medicinal uses of cut. Now there's an organization or an umbrella association called the Wakiso.
I have a friend, by the way, who grows cut. It would be very unfortunate for her.
Yes. So they went to Makerere University, and I'm trying to find a report here, and they consulted. They asked the scientists in Makerere University to conduct a research and find out whether cut has any medicinal uses or any nutritional value. And indeed, the report were, after conducting this study, it showed that cut has some
medicinal
values and nutritional values, especially nutritional values. Nutritional. They talked about potassium. It has alkaloids. Alcohols are very important. Now, alcohol, just like any other nutrient in the body, it helps in your body growth. Yeah.
Kati medicinal.
So a cut, just like any other stimulant, people use it for relieving stress. Of course.
But it is also said to cause more mood swings, hyperactivity, migraines. It causes, apparently, it impairs men's potency, sex potency, and all of those things. So it seems to have more impact issues than it has uses.
No. It's like you telling me about alcohol.
I'm not saying alcohol is good. I don't take it.
You don't take it. Yeah, but okay.
If anything, I don't mind being regulated
So,
itself.
and that's where we are coming from. You're saying yes, just like any other substance, it has its own effects, but it doesn't warrant
To be criminalized.
to be criminalized.
Okay. So aside from the fact that some people have their livelihoods dependent on the cultivation of this substance, does it really have any? I don't see much apart from, okay, you've said some bit of nutritional purposes, but a great deal of it seems to be in the line of alcohol, which isn't exactly on the positive side. So why is it important that it shouldn't be regulated, or at that stopped, for that matter?
Yeah,
we have enough problems with alcohol anyway.
Yes, and I just gave you statistics from Teeka Hospital. They show you that 44%, 44 point something percent, people are affected who are admitted in Teeka. Are people alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol.
Cat.
Yes.
Cat takes
2.5%. That should be one of the reasons why it shouldn't be
It
criminalized.
shouldn't be regulated, but regulating alcohol.
Because the levels of use are still low.
Yes. Two, the World Health Organization, as I told you, conducted research, and in their recommendations, they said it's called I've forgotten. I'll share the report, the title report. They recommended that cat is not as dangerous as alcohol, and it's not a drug that someone is most likely to be addicted to. That if you're using it, it's most probable that you're likely to control it. That if you stop consuming it, the need to consume it or the desire to consume it every time and then is not as it is with alcohol. Are you getting? Then
Mucho it is less addictive.
it's less addictive. So if you have something that is less addictive, why would you ban it and you leave something that is more addictive like alcohol? Let us start with the most dangerous one. Okay, but even we have alcohol, which is more dangerous, but we have managed to live as a society. We have managed to, there are regulatory frameworks in place to ensure that the consumption of alcohol does not undermine societal values and affect our social fabric.
Kati bano ba legislators abayisiza bill, is it because they didn't do research? Is it because there are some other intentions ezili hidden, oba azili business-wise they only want to remain in the market nga balina license oba nga bali makati?
Yeah, so as I told you, one, it was devoid of evidence-based legislation. It was no research. Parliament was incumbent to conduct or to sanction its own research. Let me give you an example. In the UK, this issue came up. It was contentious. But the UK government sanctioned a research. It got pharmacologists, it got psychiatrists, it got all sorts of scientists that you can rally or you can bring together to conduct research and give you a report that can enable you to make a decision from an informed point of view. And according to that report, just like the WHO, it recommended, it said, no, we cannot what? Ban cat. When you ban cat, cat is less harmful than alcohol. Cat is less addictive than alcohol. yes, it's a stimulant, and he recommended that they should just put in place a regulatory framework, one, ensuring that the consumption is maybe limited to persons who are adults 18 years and above, like here in Uganda, adults 18 years and above, and other raft of recommendations. Are you getting?
Yeah.
So, which never happened here in Uganda. In Uganda, it was, as you asked or pointed out, it was out of excitement. Someone hears, cat, amairungi mabi. So it sticks in their head. So in parliament, even, I don't know whether you had the opportunity to watch the debate in parliament.
Were people debating about things they understand, really?
Most of them never understood what they were talking about.
You see, most of us don't differentiate the two.
But also, so
But
let me first ask, what entails marijuana, first of all? Because the new bill now that is seeking to license farmers says marijuana.
Yeah, it says marijuana and cat.
And cat. So
Yes.
what is marijuana, first of all?
Marijuana is cannabis, or what we call injaga.
The actual injaga this time?
Yes.
The addictive one, all of those things.
That one.
That very strong one.
That very strong
Yes.
one.
Then, cat is what the scientists call Catha edulis, or what we call mira or mairungi.
Akakola.
Or akakola. Yes.
Okay. So in the regulation now, was the extension of allowing licenses to marijuana, I'm trying to use the allowed word, marijuana, and now we've understood a little bit of cat. The addictiveness is not as much as any other.
As alcohol.
Yes, as alcohol.
As
The
alcohol
benchmark is
specific.
alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol. Because alcohol is legal.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Well, so cat seems to be in that category,
Yeah.
less addictive. But we also have marijuana. What were the considerations for licensing marijuana?
Now, the minister, the parliament, when it was enacting the law, it gave the minister power to deal with that. But they had to look at those who are growing marijuana for medicinal purposes, and then those ones who are growing marijuana for
Recreational.
for export. Yes. not for recreation.
So, but also the other previous law, I think, was banning all of those. Either you deal or you export or you import or you do all of these things. How do we now know that since we have given licenses to farmers, I assume that that also allows them to import or export? So in that sense, how do you think, as a lawyer, how do you think it is going to be possible to legally regulate the use of marijuana strictly for medicinal purposes, that it's not abused in the market? Because now it's going to be open on the market.
Wow.
Because I would assume again that this time there was evidence-based legislation, and there was a good foresight on how much this is going to be legislated.
Just to clarify, are you only talking about marijuana or together with cat?
I think let's put it together also with cat.
Cat now.
Because also I want to think that overuse of cat might have some effects.
Just like taking soda.
Just like taking...
You may suffer from diabetes.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. So, thank you for the question, Rogers. It's almost similar to the question she had raised. I had not yet finished answering, so I'm going to put it together. So one, the people who passed this legislation, in one way or the other, they were selfish. They were selfish. Licensing is a tool that people are currently using to monopolize business.
That's true.
Yes. For instance, let me give you an example. Are you seeing the coffee, the loan on coffee growing?
Yeah.
Ugandans are...
Never need
people are caring less about it, but it will bite in years to come. Look at the law on fishing, getting a license. Basically,
It's very hard.
People have been kicked out of the what?
Of the business.
Of business. So, in 2015, when CAT was, when the Narcotics Act was passed, it created a provision for licensing. One of the associations that I assist, that is the Wakiso Miraa Growers Association, tried to apply for a license, but up to date, they have never received any reply. 2, that law gave the minister powers to pass a framework that people would follow to obtain licenses. That law has never been passed until this year. Until this year, when the law was nullified, and it was not in place. But some people were exporting marijuana. Are you getting me? Some people had licenses and they are growing.
Even before the law?
Yes. So the problem with licensing is good, but the nature of licensing also determines whether people can benefit or not. For instance, you will find that people put a regulatory framework for licensing, but a person, and they will tell you that, look, if you don't have 20 acres, for you to obtain a license, you must have 20 acres. I'm just giving an example. So for you who's growing cat or marijuana on 1 acre,
You cannot.
you cannot.
Yeah. That means mama inakwegatta.
You grow as an association or something.
No. They will tell you unfragmented what? Land. Like, yes. So that's how people use licensing to kick people out of what? Business. And I want to assure you, as far as coffee is concerned here in Uganda here, time is going to come. Do you know that according to the current the loan coffee growth, even being a barista, okufumba kawa, you must have a license for you to sell. That means some Nachigude who is a vendor wants to sell coffee on the street cannot do so without a license and with training. That's how they kick people out of business, the poor. So the provision in the Narcotics and Psychotropic Substance Control
Contract bill.
Now that's yet to be assented to by the president. That relates to licensing was inserted out of bad faith. There are people in Ibutambala who have half an acre of cat.
Yeah.
And you're giving this wide discretion to a minister to pass the framework. What if he says?
You should be having 2 acres to grow.
Yes. And 2, why give the minister all these powers? So everyone to apply has to come to Kampala. They didn't simplify it for the downtrodden, for the poor. But if I'm a cat grower who is in Maracha, I should just easily walk to Maracha district and someone handles that. Are you getting?
So someone has to bought from Maracha to Kampala to get a license.
Yes. So it's a way of kicking people what?
Out of business.
And as I told you, people use these licensing regimes to kick others out. So I'm not saying that this is what the minister is going to say, but I'm imagining, because we have experienced it with the past Narcotics Act, where the people who were given licenses to grow marijuana were cherry-picked. There were a few people. I want to assure you, Rogers, right now, if you applied for a license, you live and die without getting it. By the time you die, you will not have gotten it.
I don't intend to apply. But
you do not want to grow cat.
That's a joke. But generally speaking,
yes,
when you look at this whole situation, you also understand that generally in community we have a problem of drug use, drug abuse even, not even drug use, drug abuse. Would you fault the lawmakers for having put in place such enforcements to make sure that most of these things are regulated?
Which enforcement? I want you to clarify for me.
No, the law. Let's put it to the law, because enforcement, again, like you said, some of it is selective. But also generally, I think I want us to agree, as much as it is weak. So these things actually do have more side effects, a lot of them. Of course, categorizing all of them now, I'm not specifying the cut or what. Okay. All of it have these issues and have destroyed people's lives and families at that. Do you think they were also in bad faith to put in place regulations?
Thank you very much. As far as the law is concerned, as far as controlled substance use is concerned, there's no problem. But the problem is, are we adhering to evidence-based legislation? For me, it's where I part ways with Parliament. It's where I disagree with them. Evidence-based legislation. But as a law-making institution, as an institution that the people of Uganda have entrusted with powers to make laws that are tailored to serve their needs, they are at all times, in doing so, in processing and passing these laws, requires to adhere to evidence-based legislation principles. For me, it's where I disagree as far as that act is concerned. For instance, the ban and the criminalization of the use of marijuana, I support it. Are you getting? Even its regulation. But where I disagree with them, where I find them acting in a chaotic manner, is when they criminalized the growing, sale, possession, and dealing in what we call kati, or what most Ugandans refer to as amairungi or akakola. At that point, they were just excited. They were not informed by science. Because when you don't act based on evidence, if you don't act based on science, you're most likely to legislate a country into a problem. Yes, they scored points. When they legislated against, they used the possession of marijuana and other substances. But they lost it when it came to kati. This is a crop that is supporting very many families. Some families will tell you, for over 50 years, we have been growing what? Kati. We have thrived on kati to meet our basic needs. We have thrived on kati to send our kids to school. Are you getting? Yeah. And you're not looking into that. And worst of all, you ignore all the scientific evidence that shows you that it's less harmful compared to alcohol. For me, that is where I disagree with them.
Do you think
but as far as other substances are concerned that are classified as narcotics and psychotropic substances by WHO, that's the World Health Organization. I agree with them. Marijuana is one of them. Cathinone is one of them. Caffeine, I agree with them. But the only problem they made when they're passing that act is that...
Including cat.
Including cat there. They got excited. Let me tell you, in Kenya, yeah, our neighbors, Kenya, the government there has supported cat growers to the extent that even it has the government looks for markets for kati. Some time back, Somalia had temporarily banned kati because terrorists were earning money out of it. So after some time, they lifted kati.
They lifted the ban.
The ban. Yeah, the ban. And Kenya was one of the countries that whose government reached out to Somalia to export. In 2 days, they were able to export kati, to the best of my recollection, kati worth $2.4 something million. In 2 days.
Aho nyini ku $1 million ebbiri tugenda okuwumulira mu kkooti wete nakomawo tukyayogera nsonga za amayirungi naye twogera kati mujja bitegeera naye amayirungi oba akakoola nze simanyi na lwaki babitundira mu ndagala ateeka bulungi nnyo mu ndagala wosanga ku lw'ennakawuka abantu bakalimira ddala mu butale ogenda nga bakateese mulagala bulungi nnyo oluzino ze tufumbiramu empombo nga bakatunda akasibyeko n'olwayi naye tujja kulaba obuzibu ki obuli mu era lwaki olowooza gavumenti yo yavuddeyo ne criminalizing atumulamu katono nnyo tukomawo kyali ku Mighty Drive.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Les Hub Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Les Hub Stores on all our social media platforms. Les Hub, craft your own footprints.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Kati oba marriage amairungi kubanga marriage anakkiriza nti agogo baga regulating gayina obuzibu naye takkiriziganya n'ekyokuba nti ate abaka bano bacriminalizinga kati okuba nti ate nabo tolowooza nti Ugandans might be within that period kuva 1950 up 2015 maybe they have abused the use of cat, and so the reason why the legislators want to regulate it.
It goes back to what I told you initially. There's what we call evidence-based legislation. EBL. Are you getting? So, if abuse is what informs the criminalization of a substance, place evidence on the table. Because we don't want to legislate out of excitement.
Let me ask you, Kazi.
Are you getting?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yes.
You can continue, but I hope that you take this along.
Yes. So,
what is the likelihood that even cat can be overabused? So therefore, it warrants registration to an extent.
But there's already evidence in place. There's already research from Butabika showing you that.
But research is only as far as people who have literally run mad or have issues that have gone to Butabika.
Yeah.
It does not relate to the general use in the country. So what is the likelihood that likelihood doesn't mean it has happened. Again, now talking about evidence-based research, what is the likelihood that cat can also be overused? In that case, abused so much so that it warrants legislation and control by the legislators.
The legislators had an opportunity to answer that question. How?
But you're the one who said
Yes,
they shouldn't
yes,
have.
they had an opportunity to answer that question. How? They were supposed to restrict the use of cat to persons who are 18 years and above. The way it is with alcohol. You know,
okay.
You know, they say you can't run away from your problems, but you have to find a solution to them. I agree. Cat, just like any other crop or another substance, is most likely to be abused. But the approach is very important. As you said, what's the likelihood that cat
might be
abused? But I already told you that the research that is in place, both scientific and statistical research, shows you that one, the people who are admitted in Butabika. 2.4% were using cat. 44 plus were using alcohol. Then two, the World Health Organization conducted research that shows that a person who consumes cat is less likely to abuse it, is less likely to be addictive. Why? Cat, when you consume it and you stop using it, you're less likely to be dependent on it.
Teyinayo impacting anti omuntu avudde ku alcohol ayinza okuyisibwa obubi ennyo.
Okay, it has, but compared to alcohol, it's less. Okay. So the chances of someone of abusing cat or being addicted to a cat are lesser
than those of alcohol.
Those of alcohol. So a person who's using cat is less likely to abuse it and is less likely to be addictive to it. So it's a reason why, based on the available evidence, that it shouldn't be criminalized. I don't know whether I've...
No, I understand. I think I get your point. But also let me ask now. I play the devil's advocate.
Yes.
So if you do, for example, they are saying that generally you're saying cat shouldn't be criminalized.
Yes.
Which sort of makes sense now that you make a comparison with alcohol. But you also say that it has nutritional and medicinal value to some extent.
To a certain extent, yeah.
How do you also think that regulating it to 18 and above also deprives the its medicinal value to the people who are lesser in age? How do we then address that gap?
Now, for medicinal value, the law creates a framework through which substances can be used for medicinal value. But be that as it may, just by the mere fact that something has medicinal value is not a justification to allow minors or people below 18 to consume it. Why? As we all know that someone who is 18 years and below, or below 18 years, are not grown enough to make independent decisions, to know the harmful effects of what they are consuming, and to what extent they should consume, and when they should stop. So, yes, it has medicinal value, but it should not be a justification to allow minors to consume.
Kati ate marijuana, the way you are pronouncing marijuana might take me to hospital if I try to pronounce it that way. But I pronounce it the local way. Marijuana has medicinal values also.
Yes.
Why aren't you advocating for it to also not be criminalized? Because na ye ina medicinal values, but regulating as it is, abantu abakulu baberenga bagikozesa.
I also think actually they're I have a feeling that marijuana might also have more medicinal values than cat. But you are not saying that for purposes of that medicinal value, marijuana should also be left for that matter, if we are following the medicinal...
Okay. Thank you very much. One, if you look at the narcotics and the psychotropic substance control bill, it's meant to curb what we call drug abuse. Yes, true, as you stated, that marijuana has more medicinal value than cat, but again, marijuana is more harmful than cat. The danger with it, does not warrant us decriminalizing its use. However, it does not mean that the debate as to whether it should be criminalized or decriminalized should stop. It can be an ongoing debate, because in some countries, like in the US, Germany and others, they have taken proactive steps and decriminalized the use of what? Of marijuana, though they control the amounts you can access, the amount you can buy in a specific period of time. So that's a debate for another day. But we should be aware of the fact that yes, marijuana may be more medicinal than may have more medicinal value than cat, but marijuana has more negative impact on society compared to cat. By the way, marijuana has more medicinal value than alcohol.
It does. I think I agree on that.
It's even called herbal tea somewhere. You go and they give you herbal tea of marijuana.
Yes, but because you look at
and
the
you
effect,
feel really okay.
Yes.
But now, some of the things that were criminalized entirely without, there's no licensing, there's no discussion. That cocaine, is it cocaine?
Cocaine.
Yes, cocaine, then there's opium, and there's, I think, there's like a number of them. They said you can't deal in it at any level, or much less even consume anything that contains any of those. Yet, it's also likely that every one of those actually do have some medicinal value. So I want to assume that you have followed this debate in Parliament and them agreeing to now licensing the farming and the dealing of the marijuana. How do you think then is the consideration on the striking of balance between marijuana, because it also has potential value, and the other side, the downside of it? Why was it that some of these that are as much literally as harmful as marijuana were left out even when they have some medicinal value, and then only left marijuana on the market? to be licensed?
I think the reason they did it because marijuana has more medicinal value. Like marijuana is a 50-50. It's very harmful.
Can kill you or heal you.
Heal you. Basically, it's a 50-50.
You abuse it, it kills you.
Yes.
You use it properly, it can heal you.
It can heal you. Are you getting?
Yeah.
Then there are those ones for them, like you say opium. It's more of suicide, like.
Some people can potentially.
But
Are you getting?
And there are people dealing. If we are looking at people's sources of income, and there are people living on dealing in opium or cocaine or something.
How many do you know in Uganda? Me, for kati, I know there's Wakiso, growers and dealers.
There must be people earning a living.
It goes back to what I told you, that every legislation must be evidence-based. EBL, evidence-based legislation. How useful it is, how is it going to affect the people, what will be the cost of implementing. If you are banning, for instance, if you're banning cat, well, how long will it take people to transit? Have you provided for them alternative? All those things are informed by research. You first conduct research. So for me, as far as I understand, I know is that opium is under the World Health Organization recommendation.
Red list.
Yes, it's a substance that's recommended for banning.
So supposing the president of Uganda assents to this bill that the parliament just passed, impacts is zeina eri abantu. What are the likely impacts? How is it going to affect the people? Mostly those ababadde badealinga mu kati.
Well, it's going to have far-reaching effects on the lives of the cat growing community in Uganda. As I earlier on shared, there are over 1 million Ugandans. They deal in cat. They depend on. They thrive on
their
cat.
livelihood.
I assume that is evidence-based. I assume
no, it's an estimate. It's an estimate, yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, over 1 million. You know, this substance has been from time immemorial. It has been stereotyped, and even the government has not given attention to it to document.
By the way, n'abagirima tebagala kwevayo
to speak about
yes.
it. I think because of the stereotype.
Stereotype, are you getting? Yeah. So, one, it's going to disrupt the livelihoods of people who thrive on cat. There, as I told you earlier, there are families that thrive on cat. Cat is a source for their basic needs: the food, shelter, healthcare, transport,
education,
clothing. It's a source of school fees. People have educated kids using cat. You will find families over 4 to 3 generations have been depending on what? On cat. So it's going to disrupt the livelihoods of the cat growing community in Uganda.
But then, we also do.
Then two, it's going to deny the country the possibility of getting revenues. I know previously the government had ignored. They are not thought of regularizing the trade, finding ways of supporting cat growers and dealers like the way it's in Kenya. So taking away a cat is taking away an economic opportunity for the country. Cat is one of the foreign exchange earners for countries like Kenya. A country like Yemen, I think by I don't remember the year, but in the 90s there, it was one of it was its highest foreign exchange earner. So cat has immense opportunities that when it's taken away, communities will lose, even as a country will lose. Then two, there's a law that talks about confiscation of property.
Yeah.
There are people who, the law says that if the government has a right to take over your land, are you getting? So there's a likelihood most people are going to lose their what? Their land, as far as kati is concerned. And then there's no transition. They banned kati, but they never gave these people a transition period. Two, they never gave them an alternative source of income. So the people who are poor are going to be paupers. If someone was living slightly below the poverty line, it will be pushed further. So those are going to be the implications of kati. You're going to have high increased rates of crime. Crime is going to escalate. Where there is scarcity, there is conflict.
True.
And when you take away kati, you create scarcity. You create scarcity as far as access to basic needs is concerned, because people no longer have a source of income. And scarcity comes with conflict. And that conflict will be crime. So people are going, like the youth, they are going to resort to stealing. They are going to resort to all other crimes to survive. Let me give you an example. Early this year in May, the Ginger authorities banned the lawful trade of vending, street vending, and even they evicted them. I followed up on the matter, and different outlets, news outlets, leading outlets in Uganda, were reporting that since the eviction of street vendors in Ginger, there has been an increased rate in crime. So those are some of the effects. If you don't, if you're not forward-looking, you're most likely to leave a country in.
So let me ask you just this question also. It's, for example, you bring an example of street vending, which has happened, but how do you think, therefore, that these people who are doing the enforcement or the legislators generally will strike a balance between being organized and then having these people have a livelihood? Because it's one thing for a city council to say, you know what, these are the rules, you don't vend your whatever, sell whatever you have on the road. Yeah? And ordinarily, as a progressive country, you also want to grow, to be a little more organized. You don't want people selling their clothes in the road. Yeah? So even on the side, even as an individual, when you look at it, you think that is something reasonable. But people will go ahead and do it anyway. So what do you think the legislators, therefore, or enforcers should be doing to make sure that these people, first of all, do not come on the road? Or therefore, in this case of kati, if government reasonably thinks it has more potential impact, kati shouldn't be grown or sold or whatever that is, but also make sure that the people themselves have something alternatively they do.
Before I go to kati, let me, since I am the one who brought the analogy of street vending, one, we are a society that lives in self-denial. We refuse to acknowledge the fact that we are an informal economy. You want to act as if you're running a formal what? Economy. When you're planning for people, like for instance, street vendors, or Uganda as a country, the first thing you must put into your mind that over 80% of the Ugandans are employed in informal sector. Yeah. But if you start planning and you're only planning for the 20%, now that's where your failure starts. Street vending is one of the oldest trades in the world. And even countries that are more advanced than Uganda, the United States, South Africa, Ireland.
But their vending is a little bit organized, even if it's street. There are particular places you go and do your vending,
Yes,
not
perfect,
everywhere
perfect.
like we do here.
Yes, perfect. That's what I'm saying, perfect. That they plan, they are aware of that yes, we're grown economy, but there are people who are street vendors. Let us plan for them. Now, for what we have here in Uganda, though it's not the issue that we are discussing here, it just came as, by the way. What we have here in Uganda is a negative attitude about stereotype. Before we came for the show here, Farida was telling you, he was giving us the news wrap-up, and she was saying the reason why the greening the sitters failed, they are blaming it on what? Or street vendors.
And street vendors, yes.
Have you seen people who drive cars on pavements and on those green belts?
Yeah, that there.
Some people, yes.
Are those street vendors?
So of course not.
Yeah, perfect. So we that's how I told you, we live in self-what? Self-denial. We have a city, for instance, where they can plan for on the road. They
organize it.
They organize for people who own cars, and they say multiplex, collect money they can park there, and someone parks there for 1,000.
Yeah.
I think for an entire day.
It's 1,000 per hour. I don't know.
Per
Power. Okay.
Yes.
So per hour. Someone parks. Are you getting? But the same person planning for a car owner cannot say, let us call these street vendors. Let us speak to them. Listen to them. What do they think works for them? Can we get particular hours or particular streets for them? It's that discussion. Our authorities are not willing to engage in it. That's why you see they are always in running battles with what? Street vendors. Just give me an example of a day where KC has called street vendors and they have agreed. Betty Kamya tried it.
Ne baba wa street yawo nga buli lwa Sunday ng'osanga street yonna ejjudde.
Yes. But now these days, so we live in self-denial. We must acknowledge who we are first for us to change what we think is affecting us. As a society, we have failed to do that. We live in utopia. Eh? We live in an imaginary what? World, sugar candy mountains. Eh? We want to behave like Americans when we are here in Uganda. No. So that's the issue of street vendors. Back to cat. Cat growers, dealers, and traders are willing to engage in this conversation. But are our leaders ready for that conversation? Are they ready to be told or to hear that cat is less harmful than alcohol? Or they just want to act on stereotype and say, amairungi mabi, tugagobe. Are they ready to sit with them and say, look, what works better for you? The government of Kenya is doing it. When the ban on cat was lifted in Somalia, the government of Kenya reached out to the government of Somalia to access their market. And I told you within 2 days, they're in $1 million of export. A candid talk. You know, Rogers, there is preaching water and taking wine. You can't preach water during the day and take wine in the night, and you think we shall take you seriously.
Kati ono akulira ebbanga ki bw'omuntu aba amulimye? 1 year, 6 months.
I can't give you the exact...
Because we could look at an alternative crop that people should go for instead of cat.
So just to find out what Rogers was talking about. I believe the cat growing community are willing to have that dialogue, that engagement. But, you know, when it comes to the pyramid of power, they are the base. What do I mean?
They are at the bottom.
They are the bottom. Eh? That it's the people at the apex who wield more power, who are better placed to trigger this debate, because these people have approached them. And I, for one, have talked to some of the members in the cat growing community, and they're saying, we are willing, but let them come and talk to us and tell us how are they going to compensate us. In Parliament, that question came up. But a few people were willing to delve into it. Rather, they were more inclined to follow the stereotype of banning. So, in short, the cat growing community is willing to sit down with all stakeholders and find an alternative. But this alternative it should not be just imposed on them. They should take part in the consultation. They should inform its outcome. They should take part in the process, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who understand cat better, and at the end of the day, they're the ones who are affected.
What is also the likelihood that the banning of cat, among other substances, because again it's classified as substance, is because, first of all, it's not organized, scattered, so literally you cannot trace who are the beneficiaries of this business, and in which communities they are if they are not organized or that kind of stuff. If maybe they were organized, and if, again, because you said that the cat community said they were interested in engaging the conversation to see if they should ban it or shouldn't, do they also have some bit of statistics as to how much people earn from it? So much so that the government will feel like, you know what, there's a community that is dependent on this, but also the government can be able to benefit in this and that way. So then they can have that mutual discussion, because I feel like the detachment between these two is one thing that we have not addressed. The cat community, one, is not organized itself, but also more than that, the people themselves don't seem to see the value of it at the end of the day, the economy-wise again. How do you think then government can listen more to it if they don't see so much impact after all of this at the end of the day?
Thank you very much. One, there's organization. And then two, there's willingness to speak to the organized. I can assure you that the cat community is very organized. That's why when the growing, use, and dealership of cat was criminalized in 2015, they filed a constitutional petition that challenged the criminalization of the use, growing of cat. And they were successful because they what? Organized. Under their umbrella association called the Wakiso Mira Growers and Dealers Association. Are you getting?
And what has been the economic value?
So, the cat community, as I told you, is organized. But there's a problem of the willingness to speak to the organized cat community. The cat communities are like any of us who are citizens of Uganda. We are entitled to have or to receive services from the state.
Yeah, true.
There is what we call a National Planning Authority. We have what we call the National Development Plan, NDP.
3 now.
3. If you read it, does it mention about cat?
It doesn't.
That
goes again to the economic value that I was asking you.
Again, 2. Of recent, the National Planning Authority was conducting consultations to inform the next NDP, that's National Development Plan 4. Did you see anywhere them reaching out to the cat growing community? There's an organization I assist that assists street vendors. It wrote to NDPA asking it to afford it time to consult on informal workers. Up to date, it has never received what? Feedback. So this is the situation in which we find, in which most of the downtrodden people like the cat growing community find themselves in. They are willing to participate in these processes. But the people who are empowered, the people who receive a budget for this work, are you getting? Are not willing. They are foot dragging, they are pussyfooting. So what you want to tell me that the stakeholders of this country don't know that kati exists?
They do, but maybe what they don't recognize is its financial value to
its
people.
financial value. Then
how does it translate?
Let me give you an example. Who gives us statistics as far as exports are concerned in this country?
No, again, if I might just indulge a little bit.
Yes.
So if, for example, let me assume that for just example, just purposes, let's assume you grow kati and I am the regulator. If, for example, you do not come and tell me, you know what, you're banning my product, but these are the impacts, this is how much it has been able to help us, this is how many people depend on it, this is how much we have benefited from exporting it in the last year, or this much. How does it then, how do I come to know something like that? If you, the person who is in the business, does not share those statistics as much as you benefit from them. So government, I would assume that it also would be lenient and probably more listening and more willing to increase some speed and not drag their foot, to make sure that you are also included in and then those national planning and the NDPs and all of that kind of stuff. How are you as people making sure that you have those statistics available so that the government can see the financial value?
Thank you very much. As I told you, these are poor people. They live from hand to mouth. However, with the little or the mega resources they have been able to access different offices to ensure that their concerns are voiced or their interests are catered for. Are you getting? For instance, in 2015, before the 2014, before the passing of that act that was nullified, they reached out, and Parliament managed to go to the kati growing community, some of them to consult. This year, again, when the act was declared unconstitutional and the bill was tabled in Parliament, they went there. The Wakiso Miller Growers and Dealers Association, they went there and presented these facts and showed them the economic opportunities with their little resources they have. Are you getting? So, yes, they may have the statistics, but these statistics are not the statistics that are enough for you to probably to rely on. So the best thing to do, for instance, I give you an example of the UK where they wanted to ban kati and they conducted the research. Was for government to say, okay, now this is a matter that concerns our citizens. Where is Uganda Bureau of Statistics, UBOS?
Yeah, I was going to mention it. You know, when UBOS is carrying out census,
yes,
it registers a number of people in the household and their source of income.
But in their reports, they will never indicate those things there. Are you getting? So there are certain things. If you are to demand from the citizens, you're instead citizens who are paying taxes, you're placing a burden on them. For instance, right now, UBOS will be telling us that, look, we have 2 million kati growers. They grow this amount of kati. Such and such amount of kati is exported. And this is the value. Yes, I don't deny the fact that even them as a community, they are they are duty bound to do something.
Contributes to
But
it.
again, they have done it. They have done it. But because, as I told you earlier on, that there has been an existing stereotype against cat.
So it's also possible that
To
even-
the extent that, let me tell you, to the extent that even before it was banned, people already looked at it as an illegal what? Substance.
It looks like
the
illegal
police.
thing
The
when
police.
it's-
even used-
It actually
looks-
looks like
yeah.
looks like
Something-
it's illegal.
The police used to round up people. Eh? Even courts will charge people and convict them on non-existing offences. Before it was, yes. So that's how deep the stereotype is.
Then there was an offense because there was a law against
No.
it and it was classified a general.
No. By the way,
But also,
as I told you, Roger, that since Uganda became a state, cat has never been illegal till 2015. But even 2015, there was a provision that was saying, as far as the operationalization of the act is concerned against cat, the minister will appoint a date. By the time cat was, the law was declared unconstitutional, the minister had not appointed that date. That means cat has never been what? In reality, it has never been criminalized. Like it has never, the offense against the use of cat has never existed in Uganda.
Or did they just not break it down? Because if the law was against narcotic drugs and those
Okay,
substances,
okay. What I'm trying to say is the law. The law.
been under those categories.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that since immemorial or until 2015, cat has never been criminalized. Are you getting? But even when it was criminalized, the act had never been operationalized against act. Against what? Cat. So all those prosecutions and convictions, some of which, when we were working together with Council Isaac Semakade, we successfully challenged them, were based on a non-existent law. To the extent that even the High Court judge had to order a specific order to the DPP to ensure that law enforcement officials are put in line. So that stereotype that is deep-rooted has affected the planning for cat, the allocation of resources to cat. Are you getting?
yeah.
The assisting of cat growers. Like, to the country, cat growers are alien. They are non-existent.
Never seen
Someone
one
sits
myself.
and is like, hey,
There are those also.
do these people exist? Are you getting? That even when they come to them, it's like cat people are treated like lepers. That even when they come to them, no one wants to what? To come close. But the cat people are saying, no. We are not going down without a fight.
Okay, njagala tuyiteko mu comment katono nnyo nga tunatandika kugamba nti kati bamukkirize tulabe wano Nkwacho Festival nga ziyitiridde nanti ng'agamba kati alirigo. Omukolo Ethan Mwina agamba, first of all, how effectively has the Narcotics Act reduced the availability and consumption of illegal narcotics in Uganda?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so now that one is another question that me as a person, I may not be fully placed to answer it, but I can tell you that criminalization of substance use as a measure to curb abuse. In some countries, with strict laws, they are trying to move away from it. There's a debate in the US whether indeed they should criminalize or they should put
Should
put into place that supports people from, because victims of substance already are, and there are some people who consume these substances and they feel they want to come out of it, but they cannot. Rehabilitation, are you getting? Yeah. They need rehabilitation more than sending them to Luzira. Yeah. So those are the debates that were not in Parliament. For them, we were looking at sending someone to what? To jail. To jail. Yeah. But countries like US with most stringent drug laws have shown us that the abuse of drugs there is very high compared to other parts of the country.
That's true.
And therefore, it warrants us to have a debate, a honest debate, not something informed by stereotype. Thank you very much for that question.
Ethan again. Also, critics argue that the Narcotics Act disproportionately targets low-level offenders while leaving major drug traffickers untouched. How do you think the government can ensure equitable enforcement?
Equitable enforcement, one is first having a honest conversation. It starts with a honest conversation. Because the laws, the nature of the laws we pass will determine how they will affect the community and how they implement them. For instance, there are people who possess drugs, for instance, marijuana, in big sums they sell. Then there's someone who has a milligram.
One by one.
A milligram for recreational purposes.
Sneaking around.
Are you getting? But I want to assure you that you'll find more of these people with milligrams in Luzira prison than people who traffic these drugs, who bring in these drugs in large quantities. And by the way, they all face the same what?
Charges.
Same charges. Why don't we change the law and say no? If someone is gotten with a recreational
amount,
let us take a rehabilitating what? Way.
So
those are the things. So it goes back to the lawmaking. The content in the law determines the manner of enforcement. The content in the law is most likely to create stereotypes. Like if you're gotten with a milligram, they look at you from the same wavelength.
The one who has tons.
Who has tons.
Yeah, because something criminal is criminal. Someone who has
there's no gravity.
Who is caught attempting to rape, and the one who raped
No, they're different.
They're different, but
criminal is
they have the same mindset.
It's like attempted murder and murder. They're different.
Okay.
Attempting to rape and someone who raped.
You are
just unfortunate to be caught.
It's what we call proportionality.
Yes.
Proportionality. That the sentence the sentence you receive
depends on
should be proportional to the gravity. Yeah. Okay. Someone has been importing opium in the country. If you're sentencing him
life in prison,
you're giving the same sentence like a person who has been gotten with
sneaking around with one
a milligram. No. Are you getting?
How do you think policymakers can strike a balance? I think that was answered. Do you think the Narcotics Act might lead to unintended consequences such as increase in violence associated with the drug trade or the emergence of new or more dangerous substances?
It's most likely. Then two, the abuse is most likely to increase. Just like you look at the US, they have very stringent laws. They reach a point of time. So they reach a point of time where they had to relax. For instance, for marijuana, they said, okay, some states decriminalize its use. so that they can regulate, they can monitor. You can freely walk in and say, oh, Farida, I'm not saying that you take drugs, but Farida will aguzeyo ka gram kamu. She has bought 1 gram. Are you getting to monitor?
The progress,
so but the problem is when you push people and people do things in the dark, they are most likely to abuse them. Because for every opportunity they get, they want to maximize it. So yes, the law is most likely to escalate drug abuse because one, it's more of punitive
than
rehabilitative.
Do you think this law will stop these local abantu abadde balimu okugamba nti baleme oba bajja kulima kati mu mpaka amanyi bana Uganda tebamala gapowa?
Yeah, of course there are still Ugandans who will still grow, but I'm not sure whether
naye era babadde babayigganyanga ne Teeka terinayita balimi ba marijuana awali nakawuka babayigganya
Amayirungi. You see now the stereotype.
Okay, Amayirungi. Byonna bye bimu naye era.
It's also possible, by the way, you did mention earlier about is it UBOS or when they are doing the census, because they do record what is your life, source of your livelihood. It's possible that people don't mention that they actually
at least
because they know it is illegal.
Okay, so the statistics don't actually know how many people do that.
Muntu agamba farming, I am a peasant.
I am a farmer.
The cat community that I interact with, they are very proud. There's a registered organization, the Wakiso Mira, the one I told you about. Yeah, so they are very proud. The only question is whether UBOS has been honest enough to capture that data, or has been honest enough to answer those questions. Because remember, these are poor people. When you ask them what you do, they will tell you, I'm a farmer. But do you go to... have you gone to the extent of asking the specifics?
But some people will lie. That is the truth. But also the other thing is so I want you to understand. In the whole country of almost 50 million people, if you say that only Wakiso Mira growers is what is there, a country cannot base on that to make a legislation in support of them. There should be a good amount of people who are depending on that. But if there is only one, as a case study, I do not know if I would fault the government for feeling like there's not many people who are doing this. We can find ways for them to do it.
The country does not legislate for associations. The country legislates for people, and it's people who constitute associations.
And there's only one association.
Just because I'm not, I don't have an association, does not mean that you shouldn't legislate for me. Show me an association of millet growers.
I don't know.
Does the country plan for them?
Possibly.
Yes, they do.
It does.
Because there's
millet and sorghum growers. Yes, it does.
So just because there's one association that you've heard of Wakiso Mira Growers Association, does not mean that
there are no other associations.
There are no other, and it does not mean that the country should not plan for them. Just like an example, millet growers. Is there an association of banana growers in this country?
I've heard banana growers.
How many have you had? Probably one or two, just like Mira. In Kabale, they have another one. Mira.
But it's common sense. Okay, not common sense. People really everywhere you pass, you see.
You will say banana plant.
And the consumers are equally more. So really.
The Baganda say, okutambula kulaba.
Bwechiri.
Okudda ki?
Kunyumya.
Roger, you have not gotten the opportunity to traverse this country.
I agree. That I agree.
And go to these Mira growing communities. If you go to Kasenge, Wakiso, Utambala, oh my God, those guys are entirely... Go to Maracha.
It's a different world.
Yes. So, okutambula kulaba, okudda kunyuma, nze natambula ko.
No laba.
Now I'm telling you.
Okay.
Councillors otusibule. Osibula abatulaba obalekereyo n'akataleke kaako nakulo leero. either for the people abali mu kulima kati or for the government, the one legislating it.
Abaganda say ensi eno tegikungulako ki
Makola.
So
enaku zino oze n'obugero bwe bambi olwaleero oze you are armed.
Farida, I may probably Oluganda lutegera n'okusinga. Yeah. Even better than our princess here. Because I used to work in the accountability mechanisms for the past 3 years. And I've been dealing with communities. And when I'm dealing with communities, I ensure that I understand their language. I speak their language, the language they understand. To the extent that some communities give me names. For instance, in Buganda here, they call me Nsubuga.
Sigo wali etuomo.
No idda.
Bali kuwa.
Bali mpa.
Mwami Nsubuga.
Nsubuga. Bangamba engero manyi nyingi katukutumye Nsubuga.
Kasitato misplacing oyinza ozikubawo obukubi nezitagenda.
N'erinnya ne ligenderako.
Tetuzikubawo obukubi. Yes, so to the cat community and to the government especially, my humble appeal is one, that first they should acknowledge the fact that cat is part and parcel of our community. 2, they should give the cat community an opportunity to sit down with the stakeholders in this country and forge a way forward. Because without cat, the cat growing community is going to become more poorer. And therefore, it's a time for us to have these honest conversations. It's not good for us to pass legislations out of excitement without evidence backing it. At the end of the day, it hurts our people. And we wouldn't like to have a chaotic community, because at the end of the day, these people without jobs, without a source of livelihood, they are most likely to take part in crime. And that's what we are avoiding.
Okay.
And for the general viewers, thank you for being part of the show. One word from my end is that whenever you wake up when you are alive, it's an opportunity for you to change the world. Before even you start complaining, first thank God
for giving you
for the life. For me, once I wake up when I'm alive, I know I'll get the rest. I
remember you telling us what you love doing most in your free time is clubbing and then taking a chill diggings.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now, the more you grow now, the more you grow, the more things take less. These days, yeah. I take less. The more you grow, the more you
reduce.
Yeah.
The more
your tastes keep changing. Maybe Roger likes taking cat.
I don't. I don't even take alcohol. In fact, since you mentioned that cat is less harmful than alcohol,
you might try.
No, I think alcohol should also be banned.
Yeah, by the way, it should be.
Yeah. Because then it seems to have more impact. But again, the beneficiaries are more than my own self alone. So.
Abanywi b'omwenge bajja tukola bye tunatandika ogamba bagraduating njagala okubeebaza abaddeko mwenna nti mwebale kubeerako nga mulaba abateesayo ebibuuzo ebimu tubadde tubibuuziza ensonga lwaki mbassa ebisoma omugenyi wange aba yabizeemu dda njagala okwebaza my co-host for coming in kubanga ate onkoze bulungi nnyo show y'olunaku lwaleero. I want to thank you, our guest of the day. Thank you for keeping time and being very, very, very ebintu obyogeranga bwe birina okubeera nga tolina kyekutiirira kwonna. Omuntu omu yambuuza lwaki kanso baolopyeyo alina engeri gy'ayagalamu okuchallenge nga supposing birwe yefuuka ne bagiteekako omukono naye tujja kubiraba nga omukulu president amaze oteekako omukono obanga agaanye eyo ojja kuba discussion of another day mwebale nnyo okutulaba mbadde ku kamera n'omukyala Teditenjo Namukeera control mbaddeyo n'omukulu Mukosayi Arnold Anthony mbagayiza olunaku olungi tusinkana olunaku lw'enkya essaawa ziba 2 zennyini temunywa ne muvuga bannange obudde bukyali nnyo wiiki yakatandika mulinde weekend mbagayiza olunaku olungi.